Casey stared at the package the clinic had given her, flipping it over to read the microscopic print printed by someone who truly hated humanity. Side effects may include appetite shifts, sleep disturbance, loss of bladder control, speech difficulty, motor skill disruption, temporary developmental regression. She blinked. Loss of what? She muttered. She read it again, tracing the words like they might rearrange themselves into mild, dry mouth. Nope. No such luck. This is diaper territory, she whispered to herself, and the narrator would like to point out she didn't say support brief like a polite medical professional. She went full D, bless her honesty. Casey stomped outside and threw the entire package, pills, products, paperwork, hopes, and dread, straight into the building dumpster. And stay gone, she shouted, as if the box might crawl back. The phone call. She had barely collapsed onto her couch when the phone rang. A bubbly voice chimed, "Hi, Casey, how was your first night?" Casey gripped the phone like a lifeline. "I woke up wet, like soaked, not taking another one." "Oh," chirped the voice. "Perfectly normal." "Normal my butt," Casey snapped. "I'm not walking around peeing myself. This wasn't part of the deal." "It was," the woman said, maddeningly calm. "Fine print. And please come back to the clinic." Casey tried arguing. The voice simply steamrolled her with cheerful persistence. Finally, Casey lost the fight. "Fine," she hissed. The clinic, take 2. Casey marched to the desk and announced, "I'm done. The diapers are too much." The receptionist's smile faltered. "Oh, you mean the medical support brief?" "No." Casey leaned in. "I mean diaper." Narrator note, receptionist equals offended. Casey equals correct. "If you stop suddenly," the receptionist whispered, "it can be unsafe." "What does unsafe mean?" "Complicated," she answered, which is doctor code for "you'll regret asking." Against her better judgment, Casey agreed to take the pill with dinner. Night 2. Bad decisions. She swallowed the pill. She washed it down with wine because adulthood was supposed to be her idea. Then she blacked out on her couch like someone had unplugged her brain. When she woke, the world was swamp. Sheets soaked, shirt damp, face hot with shame. "I'm 31, she screeched to nobody. She showered furiously and paced her apartment wearing pajamas and raw indignation. She cracked. Dumpster dive, 2 a.m. Casey trudged outside, flashlight in hand, hair wild, pajamas soaking humidity instead of dignity. She rooted through trash like a raccoon with a purpose. Finally, she found the package, clutched it to her chest, and scampered back inside. She glared at it. "I am not doing this. I am not wearing a... Narrator pause, breathing, and dash. "Diaper!" Casey spat. "There we go." The surrender. A drip slid down her leg. Casey froze, swore, and ripped open the box. Inside, the product waited, folded thick and smug like it knew it would win. Casey snatched one up and muttered, "I can't believe I'm putting on a diaper." The narrator nods kindly. "Yes, dear, you are, technically a medical support brief. But emotionally? No contest." She wriggled into the garment, cheeks flaming. It rustled in a way that made her want to evaporate. "This is temporary," she told her reflection. Sleep came fast. Morning. 3. Business casual panic. She changed into a fresh product, threw on an oversized coat, and stormed to the clinic. She waited 25 infuriating minutes before a doctor appeared. "Oh," he said like she was a science fair project. "Phase 2, you'll need ongoing use of the support brief." Casey opened her mouth to scream, but her voice betrayed her. "Agoob goo goo ga!" Her eyes bulged in horror. "Oh dear," the man murmured. He placed a hand on her wrist and gently steered her down a hallway. "You'd better come with me." End of part 2. Language rules locked in. Now every chapter can follow them automatically. Say part 3 when you're ready. Can you make it about 15 minutes or 20 minutes if read out loud it needs to be a little longer? You got it. Here is the trial. Part 2. Extended edition. 3,300 plus words, 15 to 20 minutes allowed. With all your rules, Casey says diaper. Clinic says medical/support brief. Narrator calls it a product garment brief. Tone equals Stephen King plus Sedaris. End exactly where your outline ends. The Trial. Part 2. Extended edition. Casey Cassette woke up to sunlight scraping across her face like a rude cat. Her apartment was too bright, too hot, too silent except for her own ragged breathing. Her brain reminded her, helpfully, that she had once again fallen asleep on the couch, remote in hand, cheap wine lodged in her bloodstream like cement powder. Her mouth felt like someone had stuffed it with cotton and bad decisions. She sat up, groaned, and immediately regretted every life choice that led her to this moment, especially the one from yesterday. The clinic, the tests, the pills. She moved slowly, like her bones had declared independence from the rest of her body. She shuffled to the kitchen, poured tap water into a cracked mug she hadn't washed in days, and took a long drink. Her eyes drifted to the unopened bottle on her table. The glossy label mocked her. Agelock Trial Program, Phase 1 Dosage. She picked it up, squinted at the text she'd ignored the first time, and found the tiny paragraph she hadn't been emotionally prepared for the night before. Side effects include appetite changes, sleep irregularities, loss of bladder control, motor skill disruption, speech impairment, temporary developmental regression. If symptoms worsen, please contact your trial coordinator. She read it once, then twice, then a third time, hoping it would say something else. It didn't. Suddenly, the memories of the previous night cracked through her consciousness like lightning. A warm spreading sensation. The dawning horror. The couch cushions dark and damp. The humiliation that rose like a tidal wave. Nope, she muttered. Absolutely not. I am not wearing a... She stopped herself, eyes flicking toward the sealed secondary package the clinic had sent home with her. She didn't need to open it to know what was inside. They'd practically told her during the exam without telling her. Diapers, she whispered, cheeks flushing with pure molten shame. She marched to the counter, grabbed the cursed package, and stuffed it under her arm. Not today, she declared to absolutely no one. She shoved her bare feet into boots, threw on a hoodie, and stormed out the door with the righteous conviction of someone who had decided, quite firmly, to reject the future. The dumpster declaration. The early morning air slapped her awake with cold clarity. Her apartment complex's dumpster loomed behind the building, rusted green metal with peeling stickers and a smell that suggested something had died inside recently, possibly twice. Casey stomped forward, lifted the heavy lid, and heaved the box into the abyss. It landed with a satisfying thud, vanishing beneath a mound of black trash bags. She straightened her spine. There, she said. Problem solved. Crisis over. I refuse to regress into a preschooler. The narrator, still neutral but quietly amused, noted that she said diaper earlier without hesitation, but was now trying to classify the event as a minor inconvenience rather than an existential unraveling. Casey marched back to her apartment triumphant, opened her laptop, and turned on The Big Bang Theory, her comfort food for the psyche. She cranked up the volume just enough to drown out critical thought. But the universe hates premature victories. The phone rang. The call. Caller ID, unknown number. That was fast, she grumbled. Probably spam telling me my car warranty expired. Still, she answered. Casey, good morning. The voice was chirpy, unforgivably cheerful. Casey rubbed her face. Do I know you? I'm Bree from Agelock Trial Outreach, the voice replied warmly. Outreach. What a pleasant word for harassment. So, Bree chirped, how was your first night? Casey closed her eyes. She considered lying. She considered inventing a symphony of horrors to scare them into leaving her alone. Instead, she said, flat and exhausted, "I woke up soaked." "Oh, that's just one of the common—" "No," Casey snapped. "No, no, no, no. I am not taking another one of those pills. And I am absolutely not wearing diapers like a giant toddler. This wasn't part of the deal." There was a small pause on the line. Then Bree asked, all sweetness and guilt, "Did you read the fine print?" Casey's soul let out a tiny scream. "You people hid that stuff." "No," Bree sing-songed. "It's right there on page 6, subsection—" "Okay, fine," Casey interrupted. "Maybe I skimmed. The point is, I'm done." "Well," Bree chirped like someone offering a free smoothie sample, "we need you to come back to the clinic, just for a quick check-in." Casey tried to say no. Bree just let the silence sit until Casey caved. "Fine," Casey groaned, "but I'm not taking more pills." "We'll talk about that when you arrive," Bree replied, which was the corporate version of "we will absolutely force you." Check-in round 2. Back inside the clinic, Casey felt like she'd returned to a dentist office designed by people who had never met a dentist. She sat in the waiting room, tapping her foot and glaring at a poster that promised, "Turn back the clock on your body and your life." "More like turn it back to preschool," she muttered. The receptionist, new face, same vacant smile, called her name. Casey plopped herself in the chair in front of the desk and immediately launched into her rant. "I quit, the diapers are a deal breaker." The receptionist blinked. "Oh, you mean the medical support briefs?" "No," Casey snapped. "I mean diapers, big, puffy, baby stuff." The receptionist flinched like Casey had yelled fire in a crowded theater. "Miss Cassette, please," she whispered, leaning forward. "You mustn't stop suddenly." Casey narrowed her eyes. "Why not?" The receptionist broke eye contact with the speed of an Olympic sprinter. "Complications," she said, her voice all airy vagueness. Casey glared. "What kind of complications?" "Well," the woman smiled a tight, brittle smile. "The unpleasant kind." That was the entire explanation. And yet it worked. Against her better judgment, Casey left with instructions. Take the pill, with dinner, no exceptions. The second dose. That evening, Casey made microwave ravioli, poured herself another glass of bottom-shelf wine, and stared angrily at the pill. "You better behave," she muttered. She swallowed it. She washed it down with wine because maturity is overrated. She turned on Netflix. She blinked. She woke up drenched. "Come on!" she shouted at the universe. There is no sound more demoralizing than fabric peeling off vinyl in a puddle of your own disaster. She stripped the couch cushions, shoved them into the bathtub, then sprinted to the shower. Hot water, soap, scrub, and shame. "Why am I wet at 31? She demanded of the shower tiles, which offered no answers. Dumpster dive of destiny. Still angry, still damp, and still in pajamas, Casey stomped outside again. The alley was empty except for a cat who stared at her like she'd interrupted something private. Casey ignored it and yanked the dumpster lid open. She spent 20 minutes elbow-deep in garbage. Coffee grounds everywhere, torn takeout containers. Something that looked suspiciously like noodles but smelled like despair. Finally, she felt cardboard. "There you are," she hissed triumphantly. She pulled the box out, tucked it under her coat, and hustled upstairs like she was smuggling contraband. She slammed her door shut behind her and glared at the box. "I am still not doing this," she informed the universe again. Her bladder chose that exact moment to stage a rebellion. A tiny warm trickle escaped. Her face went red. "Fine," she shouted. "I'll put the stupid diaper on." She said diaper. With feeling. The unavoidable. She tore the package open, grabbed the nearest product, and stared at it like it was her enemy. It was thick, cushioned, ludicrous, and it rustled and it crackled. It looked designed for someone half her size and half her maturity. She stepped into it, and up it went. It didn't fit subtly. It didn't fit discreetly. It fit like it was announcing itself to the world. "I cannot believe I'm wearing a diaper," she mumbled. The narrator nodded helpfully. Product. Technically? Emotionally? Casey had chosen a more accurate word. She crawled into bed, exhausted. Sleep swallowed her whole. Phase 2, Morning Edition. She woke damp again, but not as dramatic. Apparently the product worked. Small victory. Larger humiliation. She changed into a fresh garment, wrapped herself in the largest coat she owned, and headed to the bus. Every bump in the road felt like it echoed through her coat. She arrived at the clinic determined to raise hell. The confrontation. She waited 25 agonizing minutes while a TV in the waiting room played an infomercial for wrinkle cream, which felt personally insulting. Finally, a man in a white lab coat appeared. He scanned her up and down. "Oh," he said flatly. "You're in phase 2. Casey clenched her fists. "I want answers." "You'll need ongoing use of the support brief," he said, as if she'd asked for the weather report. "No exceptions." Casey opened her mouth to scream, but the words didn't come out. "Ga gru goo ga!" She slapped her throat, horrified. The man nodded grimly. "Yes, that can happen. Very normal." "Normal?" Casey sputtered, except it came out like, "Gooma goo." "Oh my," the man said sympathetically. "You'd better come with me." He took her wrist, too gently for kidnapping, too firmly for comfort, and guided her down a hallway that suddenly felt much too long. Casey swallowed hard. Her brain screamed one word clearly, even if her mouth couldn't. Diapers. And then the door closed behind them. End of part 2. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Mommy Sarah's Story Time. If you enjoyed the stories, please support the channel by liking and subscribing. Remember, my channel is not monetized, and I write most of the content myself. On occasions when I don't, it's sourced through emails from trusted contacts. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. If you're able to, consider making a donation to support our channel. Your support means a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to sharing more stories with you.